Hey loves, let's get you your specific person. Today I actually wanted to just go over and discuss and answer actually a question that someone had mentioned and on one of my previous videos. The video was I was talking about how sometimes we're actually fearful of our end state and of actually achieving what we desire because in our reality that is going to create a huge change in everything around us, whereas our ego kind of wants us to remain and stay in our comfortable state. But here's what they said. So they said what to do when you aren't scared of the end result, but currently doing self concept, mental diet, affirmations, and visualizations, sometimes clear images, others don't. Letting go of the old story, but SP isn't conforming and seems to be backing away. All this is making me more low and depressed than ever. I don't want to give up faith. So this is something that is super common, and I would say as reading that, a lot of us watching this probably are thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm going through that same thing. It feels like I'm doing everything absolutely right, but it also feels like things are moving away, right? Like our SP is getting even further away. Like what did they mention? Yeah, SP seems to be backing away and not conforming. So in that case, we are seeing a change or an alteration in our reality, and this is actually a good thing. So I might have even talked about this in another video, but think about, I believe it's a story by Neville Goddard. He mentioned that he wanted to change his job. He wanted to become the lecturer that he was, but he currently had a job at a retail store, I believe. And he really meditated on it, and the next day he ended up getting fired from his job. And in that case, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, if we were in that position, we might think, this is crazy. I thought I was supposed to be manifesting a better career, not ruining my current career. But then think about it. How could Neville Goddard become the lecturer that he was always meant to be if he was remaining in that old previous state, working at that retail store? Two states are not going to exist at the same exact time. So if we want to then move into the reality that we want, we may see things like this push away or seemingly push ourselves away from what we are perceiving as the quickest path to our goal to actually take us on the quickest path to what we desire. And it also is that same metaphor when we are looking, we feel like we're here, right? And we want to get to point B, which is our specific person. And we want to make that, we feel like we need to move these states, right? So if you were to think of it as a map, and again, this is something I mentioned before, so this is just a reminder to everyone who's seen the video, or it's apparently if it's new, I'm going to explain it for anyone who hasn't heard of this. But it's the idea if you were to take a map and you were to draw from point A, your house, to like the airport, the quickest way you would perceive to be a straight line, right? You would perceive, okay, if I just walk straight, this is the quickest and easiest possible way to my goal. But think about that in actuality. If you were to just start walking directly to the airport, you would run into a bunch of things along the way. You'd run into trees, you would run into rivers, you would run into you'd run into so much. And so in that case, it might even be impossible to reach the goal through that course or in that route, or just is extremely difficult. But in this case, if we go onto Google Maps on our phone and then we type in our location or the location we want to go to, it's going to give us the perfect directions to exactly where we want to go. And think about it, if the airport is south from you, the directions could actually take you north as your first turn. And what would you be saying if you were really fearful or not trusting in Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever it is? You'd be like, that's absolutely not the right way. I'm moving away from my goal. But it's going to take you to a highway or expressway or take you around traffic or a roadblock or something to get you there faster. And that's exactly what your subconscious mind is doing at this very moment. Because now imagine that map metaphor as you going from here to your specific person. We again think it's point A to point B, but that goes through so many larger and more difficult obstacles that it actually is easier to slightly move away from your goal to then go towards it, in the same way that Neville Goddard seemingly moved away from a very successful career to then get to the actual successful career. But it's funny because we can always view every single situation that we're seeing in this light. In this case, so for the person who is seeing their SP kind of backing away, and for everyone else who is experiencing this same thing, they can think to themselves, how is this actually working out in my favor? And I will mention, I've seen this happen countless times in coaching sessions, and when it gets to this point, I've actually seen it polarize very quickly to a success from seemingly the worst case scenario. Like the most recent one, there's actually three I'm instantly thinking of. I don't know if I had time to go over all of those stories, but one, this person I was working with went on a break with their specific person, and they thought it was completely over. Their SP said some very hateful or nasty things to them right before this break, but then they ended up meeting up in public, running into each other basically on accident, and then it literally switched. Everything began to change. They saw their specific person show up in the exact way that they want. But during that break, they were thinking that their SP was literally moving away from them, that they were moving away from their goal. But then they see that there was loads and loads of movement happening behind the scenes that they were not even aware of. Another one was with a third party in which, and again, I can make a video going further into depth of these success stories and exactly what we did if you guys want. But another one was with a third party. This person was basically breaking away from their SP, or that's what they're seeing in their external reality, and their specific person was with a third party, and they were very fearful of like, this is it, I don't think I'm going to be with my specific person anymore, that's it, it's over, I can't do anything, I should just give up. But I was like, absolutely not. If you desire this, then you should have this. And again, if these are instances that are mirroring what's happening in your reality, stay strong, stay persistent, because these times of what we feel is the worst could be that perfect turning point for the absolute best. Because then this person that I'm mentioning about the third party, they kind of didn't separate. They went into a no contact amount of time with their SP. I think it was like a week or two. And then their SP ends up responding back to them that the third party's gone and now they're going to be together. And you're thinking like, how is this even possible, right? Why was she ever even in any doubt during that time? But that's how we feel during the process. Again, to get to our goal, it can sometimes seemingly move away from it. And then now, another person I'm kind of working with, it's a very similar situation as well, in which their SP they ended up standing up for themselves for exactly what they want, because you should never accept anything less than exactly what you desire in this reality. And they're kind of going along this same route, and they were very fearful and worried about it. But I told them all of these stories. And again, if you are in one of these situations, you feel like your SP is moving away, absolutely do not fear, because this movement can be exactly what is needed to get you to your end state. So I would always ask yourself to look upon the positive. Ask yourself the question, what's great about this? And you're going to find what is actually great about this. When you open your mind to that abundance, that positivity, that enlightened emotion and feeling, you are going to see the outcome that is actually right in front of you and has been there the whole time, but we're blocking it off because we're just thinking about what's going wrong, why this is ruining everything, or why everything is happening going the opposite way we want. But I guarantee you, again, if you look at it, again, coming from a very positive, enlightened mind, you are going to see something much different than you are actually seeing, if that makes sense. Because like even in the comment that I showed, this person was seeing the movement away but feeling very depressed and anxious. But I would always go back to that metaphor about the curtains. When you see light streaming in through the window, again, right now, like you may open this up, see some light coming in, and if you were to think that that's the only light there is, you'd be like, that's a bizarre statement, right? Right outside these curtains, there's a huge, enormous sun that is radiating and emitting so much energy. So to think that this ray of light is the only thing that's happening, right on the other side of the curtain, there is so much happening. But that's a good metaphor for what's happening in your reality right now. You are only seeing a very small sliver of all of the positive outcomes that are happening in your reality. And behind the scenes, there is so much happening you don't even know. And again, going back to that first example, they were the success story with the person that was in no contact, and then the SP showed up in exactly how they wanted to. Behind the scenes, there was a lot happening that the person was even very concerned about. They were worried that maybe their SP was never going to talk to them again, or they were never going to see them, having all these doubtful thoughts. But still, with that internal feeling, because they were still doing the work, they were doing the self-concept, doing the affirmations, they saw and were having massive, massive movement behind the scenes that they didn't even notice. But you should always, you're going to have a much easier time and a much easier process trusting in yourself, trusting in your power, and knowing that everything is happening perfectly. You don't have to try to force your reality. You don't have to take action. When you make a change internally, everything in your external reality sees that and moves in accordance to whatever assumption that we're making. Your reality is always, always, always reflecting what you are conscious of being internally. So for this person, I would absolutely say continue and persist. Continue with that outcome. If you guys ever have any questions or comments on this, absolutely leave them in the comments section below, because I want to continue. I want to actually maybe start making videos just answering questions. What do you guys think about that? But if you are having a hard time with this, do not hesitate to reach out to me on my website, KyleAugustCoaching.com, and I can absolutely walk you through it step by step. If you guys like this video or want me to continue answering questions on previous videos, or even the questions in the comment section below, leave a like on it, and then don't forget to subscribe so you're not going to miss me answering your question in my next video. But to everyone, I love you all. If you are in this situation, stay strong, stay persistent. You deserve exactly what you desire. But I'll see you guys next time.